Hey everybody, welcome to my lesson all about intonation and vibrato. And this is going to be kind of my current thoughts on vibrato and intonation. I've found that when I listen back to recordings sometimes, I find that I'm using vibrato too much and it takes away from my intonation. When I listen to players like Rob Ickes or go see him play and I'm really watching his hand, especially with him, he's got really, really good intonation. And I find sometimes he doesn't use vibrato all the time, right? He's definitely not overusing it. And I would even say sometimes it's minimal vibrato. So I wanted to do a lesson just kind of to almost like a note to myself, to tell myself to really work on my intonation and to almost practice not using vibrato as I'm playing, and to bring in the vibrato as my intonation on that note that I'm hitting or chord or whatever is in tune, then bring in the vibrato. But basically for me to practice not using vibrato in order to not make my vibrato be kind of like a nervous habit that I get into that really takes away from me sounding like I'm in tune on each note. A big thing that I do when I'm practicing intonation, and let's say no vibrato for right now, right, is unison notes. Now, I didn't say this at the beginning, but this is going to be a concept lesson. So I don't have tablature for this. I'm just going to kind of be going and showing you these things. I'll show them slow. You don't really, I don't think, need the tablature for a lot of this stuff. So it's more of a concept lesson. So unison notes means the same note, right? Just on different strings. So say when I'm playing that B note on my fourth fret, 6th string, then I play my open B on my 5th string. So first find it where it's in tune. And then practice sliding into that. Now keep in mind, I'm not sliding into it and then using vibrato. I'm specifically not using vibrato. Just do that over and over again. Same thing with the D note. That's 3rd fret, 5th string, and then open 4th. Same thing with my G note. That'd be 4th string, 5th fret, open 3rd string. But the idea is to get to that exactly, to not be searching for it. And we're not using vibrato just yet. Same thing with the B note, 4th fret, 3rd string, and then open 2nd string. Now, with some of these, like that B, for example, because we have flatted our B strings to make them sound better with the other strings, it's going to look like you're behind that fret when you play it, so keep that in mind. Now the opposite will happen when you play on your B string, because that string is flatted. When you play, like, say, unison D note on your 3rd fret, 2nd string, and then open 1st string, it's going to sound like you're a little bit in front, or it's going to look like you're a little bit in front of that fret, right? Well, depending on, actually there, it does look like I'm still, and you got to keep in mind too, as you're looking down at this angle, it's going to look like you're a little bit behind the fret. You kind of just got to use your ear, because unless you're directly, your line of sight is directly in front of you, as you go down further, it's going to look a little bit different to you. Now, the other thing I like to do is fifths, like the interval of a fifth, like say an open 4th string, and then the A note on my 3rd string, 2nd fret. That one I find is kind of tough for me to get in tune. just kind of practice that, maybe just hammering on that A note, but always using a reference note, either open first string or open fourth or both. But you really want to do it slow and really listen. You could be really, if you're just a little bit off, it's going to sound. So then once you find that note, just practice getting to it quickly. Then you can kind of start combining these different unison notes, you know. But I would suggest even before you do that, see how I'm kind of a hit or miss on that B? You know, these intonation exercises, the unisons, might be a great thing for you to do, just warming up to really dial in each string, each unison note. Now, the other thing I like to do is harmonics, unison notes using harmonics. For example, let's say we have this D note here, 7th fret, 3rd string, right? Well, first off, you could do an open first string. But what if we did a harmonic here on our 12th fret, just ring finger right above the 12th fret, just touching it, getting that harmonic, and then playing that 7th fret, 3rd string. Hear how, if you're just a little bit off? And you really want to memorize exactly what that looks like and try to get back to that exact same position. Keep in mind, I have my bar tilted up, getting the tip of my bar on these. So then the other thing that I do is I will, take maybe a G major scale and I'll just take little chunks of that scale and try to, hit lower notes, let those ring out as my reference. And play it real slow, no vibrato. Maybe I'll go down like that, G, F sharp, E, open. Or maybe I'll slide into the B note. Just little things like that, or maybe I'll slide into this D note. And I use whatever open strings I want to as reference to kind of help me with my intonation. And then I'll start going up higher. I used to have a lot of problems with this 9th fret B note, 9th fret 1st string, but I think I've I think maybe what I was doing is I was trying to play it too close to the fret. And another thing you'll find is, see how that gets kind of floppy there? 9th fret. You really got to have that light touch and not push it down too hard. Just using 6th, 4th, and 3rd string, thumb, index as just kind of my droning. As you get up higher, it's a lighter touch. You don't want to push down too hard. See? See him bend the string?